That capacitor can blow up a little bit sometimes. Oh. Nope, that was no good. All right, everybody, so we've got a DTU 12 230 volt domestic air conditioning unit. You can see the material condition is not too good. And you see this down here, I don't know what happened. I don't know if salt water got in here somehow and it filled up the tray, and there might have been a leak from the condensing coil and it ate out a hole in the bottom of the compressor. But this compressor will not run. The fan runs, the display operates correctly, the circuit board is good. What do you guys think is wrong with it? I just gave you some hints. Let's do some testing and find out. Today, we are going to be testing a self-contained air conditioning unit that I believe the compressor is locked up on, but we're going to go through this. This is the unit here. This is the compressor right here. There's a circuit board, condensing coil, evaporator, blower, distribution box, reversing valve, tray. It was tripping the breaker on the boat, so we're going to hook this thing up to a power supply, which is right here. And we're going to hook this up to L1 and L2. We're going to turn it on and see what happens. This has a breaker and a fuse in it, so we'll be protected. Let's go ahead and get started. I don't know if you guys noticed what I did there, but before I plugged it in and unwound it, I unwound it first, and there's a story behind that. I was growing up as a kid working on a dairy farm, and we were putting bales of hay up in the barn, and it had a big electric elevator with a big electric motor on it, and we were done. I was winding the cord up from the elevator going back into the milk house where it was plugged into a 220 outlet, and I really got electrocuted. I still have to this day, and this is probably 40 years ago, maybe more. I still have burns on my toes and hands. Come to find out, a dog had chewed on the cable during the night, the cord, and I caught those bare wires and lit myself up. So, note to self, always unwind and then plug in. All right, let's get this thing hooked up. So we got ground here. And then we got L2, which is white. And then we've got L1. So this is a 230 volts, so you have L1 and L2. On a 115 volts, you would have L1 and neutral. Okay, I'm back. I just had to run out to my truck and get a display so I could control the unit and a data cable. And we're going to plug that into the circuit board here. Okay, as that guy in Jurassic Park said, hang on to your butts. So you kind of want to stand back from this sometimes because that capacitor can blow up a little bit sometimes. Oh. Nope, that was no good. Okay, next step, we've got the Super Boost and Hard Start capacitor. We just put this across the the run cap, and it helps boost the start power of the capacitor that's there to see if we can get the compressor to turn. This is about the last step in the troubleshooting process to see if it'll work. So this goes from hermetic to common. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Okay, fan came on. Display is lit. Nope. All right, that capacitor is locked up. And let's see. So this is a DTU 12, and it's a 2021. So good lesson. You can see this unit. Hold on. Yep, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, 2021. So unfortunately, it's not under warranty anymore, and you can tell that the boat that this was installed in, they did not take care of it. It looks terrible. And you can see where the compressor was sitting in, I don't know what, salt water or something, and it corroded it, and there's probably a hole in the bottom. And well, yeah, that's the end of this thing. We'll strip the circuit board off because that's still good. We'll throw it in the scrap pile. That's it for this. All right, so there you go. A little bit of troubleshooting on a domestic air conditioning unit. So here's a question. 1, how much do you think this replacement is going to cost? You know, don't forget, it's not just the cost of this unit, it's how long it's going to take to get it, and the hours to remove it, troubleshoot it, and reinstall it or replace it with a new one. So get back to me if you can come up with a guess on how much that's going to cost. So to strip this thing down, all I did was, you can see right here, I just took the main wire harness, I cut the wires, leave the rest of it there. I keep this because, like I said, these cost anywhere between, I don't know, $400 and $800. So, you know, a lot of times I'll have people with an older air conditioning unit come to me and say, hey, you know, do you have a circuit board? And I say, yeah, you can get a new one for this amount, which is expensive. Or I keep them on my shelf up here. I have about 6 or 7 of them right now, and I have some more in my truck. You can see them all right here. I keep some old blowers too, because sometimes people want those. And I sell them to them for, you know, a couple $100 or whatever, you know, saves them money, and I make a little bit. Am I going to keep this blower? I don't know. I mean, it works, but it's pretty crusty, and I don't want to sell it to somebody. I mean, I don't offer a warranty on these used parts. I don't want to sell that to somebody and then right away, you know, a month later, this is called the squirrel cage right here. It's like a hamster wheel kind of looking thing. These have a tendency to fail when they start corroding, and I don't want that. I don't want that on my conscience, put it that way. Out to the scrap pile it goes. Hell, I'll just carry it. It'll be easier. And you can see this is our scrap pile. Got an old refrigerator there. Got another air conditioning unit there. Outboard motor parts, through hull valves that are no good. That's actually a power steering pump. And then this is kind of cool. This is a big lower unit off of a 300 Mercury racing motor. And what do you think happened to that? Pretty sure that's not supposed to be like that. I think there's a hole on the other side too. Yeah, oh yeah, look at this. See that? It's all bulged out. That's an expensive day right there. We're going to see if this unit will run. This unit went underwater about up to right there. You can see that line. And it ruined the electrical box, but I scavenged another air conditioning unit that was no good. I scavenged the electrical box off that one and hooked it up to this one. I got it hooked up to a 220 power supply, and I have a display hooked up. So I don't have the water hooked up, but we can let it run for a few minutes without water. So, and I have my display right here. So we're gonna see if this runs. So let's stand back a little bit and turn this on. Now we got good temperature and the light on the board is on.
Why do you say stand back?
Because it was under salt water. You never know what's going to blow up.
Oh, okay.
Now let's check the fan first. Yep, fan's working. Okay. Well, let's go to cool mode and see what happens here. The fan should come on slowly and the compressor should turn on. There goes the fan. And the compressor came on. And the coils are getting cold. So I guess so far we've dodged the bullet. Okay, so the reason why I wanted to try to test and salvage this unit is because, one, it's less than 4 months old, and a new one is going to cost like $4,000. And who knows how long it would take to get one. So that's why I wanted to see if I could salvage this one. So we'll have to take this, we'll put some salt away on here, clean this all up, put dielectric grease on all the electrical connections, and probably treat it with some corrosion inhibitor, and put it back in the boat. We'll see how long it lasts. So I thought I'd go over a self-contained marine air conditioning unit and show you guys what everything is and then also how to maintain it. So let's get started. This is a Dometic. It's a DTG12. That means it's 12,000 BTUs, and you can get them in 115 volts AC or 230 volts AC. This is the electrical box right here. This is the control card, capacitor, and all your wiring for the unit comes in through here. Now the boat wiring, this goes on the cover. This is the cover. This is mounted like on a bulkhead. The boat wiring for the power and the pump will come in through the bottom strain reliefs here and hook up to the circuit board on these terminals. This guy right here, this gray telephone looking cord, is your indoor temp sensor. It plugs into the board right here. This is the actual condensing self-contained unit right here. We have the blower motor right here, which if you loosen this hose clamp, it says it's rotable. That means you can rotate this around in directions so you can hook up the ductwork. This is your evaporator coil right here. That's where the gases expand and absorb heat. This is your filter, return air filter right here. This you should wash once every 2 weeks or maybe more if you have pets, or if you don't have another return air filter, you should wash this, make sure it stays clean because that affects the efficiency of the unit. Condensate tray, it's all plastic, has a drain on it, drains out into usually a sump box or an overboard drain. This is the condensing coil. You have your salt water for cooling, comes in here, circulates around, and comes back out here and gets dumped overboard. And like I said, that's to cool down the refrigerant gases and liquid so it's compressible. You have servicing ports here, low and high side. This is the reversing valve. This you can use to make hot air or cold air, so this is a reversible unit. Here's a pressure switch right here. Right here is the compressor itself. That's about it. So as far as maintenance goes, things you need to keep in mind. Like I said, you need to clean your air filter often. Make sure that stays clear. Your condensate pan, what happens a lot of times is if they don't stay clean or they don't have good drainage, or if the hose gets plugged up, this will fill up with water and it will overflow and make a mess in your boat. I just had a boat that ruined $3,000 worth of overhead panels because the air conditioning unit was in the overhead. They didn't maintain the drains and keep things clean, and it overflowed and ruined all the overhead panels, and they had to pay $3,000 to fix it, like I said. So there's a couple things you can do here. One, vacuum this out every once in a while. Make sure debris doesn't get in here. If you start having growth in there, like slime mold and things of that nature, they make these things called pan tabs. You can get them at any, most HVAC stores, and they're just like little pills. You drop those pills in here where there is water, so it mixes with the water, they dissolve, and you should probably put one of those in once a month. Here, let me show you. These are the slime tabs is what they call them. And they use these in residential, marine, use them in a lot of different places. Okay, so this condensing coil, this needs to be kept clean because what this is there's a tube inside this tube, and that's where the refrigerant runs, and sea life loves to grow in these. It's highly oxygenated because it's pumping with the pump. The seawater is going through there, and it's quite a bit of water. And so there's food. That makes things grow a lot and fast. So you need to keep this descaled, and that's a whole nother video that we'll do later on how to descale an air conditioning system. This is the receiver. I guess that's about it. These units are pretty simple. They're pretty reliable, and we do a lot of them. Do you guys have any other questions about, I know some of you guys are boaters and you might have these on your boat, and you may have some questions for me on these units. It's not just this one. This is just one we happen to have in the shop, but there's many different models. But if you guys have any questions or anything you need to know about these, just leave a comment in below and I will get back to you. And I wouldn't mind a thumbs up.